We're making tremendous progress with respect to North Korea. Remember this, prior to my coming into office, a lot of people thought it was inevitable, we were going to war in North Korea. And now the relationships, I have to tell you, at least on a personal basis, they're very good. It's very much calmed down.
North Korea, one of the big subjects on the table of the UN General Assembly this week. We're joined now by the President's UN Ambassador, Nikki Haley. And Ambassador, thank you for joining us. I do want to get to that, but first, I just have to ask you, we just had this discussion about the Rod Rosenstein story in the New York Times. Have you ever been part of any discussion on pursuing the 25th Amendment as a member of the cabinet?
I have never been part of it. I've never heard it. I don't think that's a reality at all among all of the cabinet members. I've just never heard that. That's absurd.
Let's look ahead to this week. We just saw the president talking about great progress in the situation with North Korea. What is that progress exactly? What have the North Koreans promised that they haven't promised and reneged on before?
I think the progress is the fact that in 2017, it felt like every other weekend there was a ballistic missile test. You had the fact that South Korea and Japan were under great threat. He was threatening America. And since then, what we've seen is, you've got the two Korean leaders now shaking hands saying they want peace. We have not had one single ballistic missile test. In their big 70th anniversary parade, there weren't nukes shown. It was more of a ceremonial situation. So a lot of really good things have come out of it, but we've got a long way to go. And I think what we have to do is denuclearization with verification is key.
What they haven't agreed to yet is denuclearization, as you just say, or even a full accounting of their nuclear arsenal. But they do seem, in that meeting between the two Korean leaders, they do seem to be now demanding reciprocal steps, some kind, from the United States. Is the United States prepared to do anything more now based on what we've seen from North Korea?
I mean, George, make no mistake, the reason they came to the table is because those sanctions are suffocating them, and they want out. And so we're not going to do anything to loosen those sanctions until we make sure that there is no more threat from North Korea. And so we've got some conversations to have, and we've got some things we've got to do, but no one is relaxing those sanctions at this point.
Will the president meet with North Koreans this week in New York?
I think that Secretary Pompeo will have the next meeting with North Koreans. When the president meets with North Koreans, that's in itself a bonus. And so we have to get to give. And so until we find out a little bit more, the president won't be meeting with him.
Yeah, and there has been some talk about it, even a second summit with Kim. But you're saying you need many more concrete steps from the North Koreans before that's going to take place?
I think Secretary Pompeo needs to have a couple more conversations before the president meets with Kim again.
Okay, let's talk about Iran as well. The president has said that he is going to chair a meeting of the UN Security Council on Iran this week. We've just heard from the Iranian president this morning, Hassan Rouhani, said that Tehran is prepared to confront America. America is acting like a bully toward the rest of the world and thinks it can act based on brute force. But our people will resist, and the government is ready to confront America.
I mean, they can confront us all they want. The problem is they don't like the fact that we've called them out. We've called them out for ballistic missile testing. We've called them out for their support of terrorism. We've called them out for their arms sales, and they don't like it. And not only that, the worst of all, we stopped the hundreds of billions of dollars that were going to them and allowing them to do these violations. And so their economy is plummeting. The deals that they had are falling apart, and they're getting desperate.
You say the deals they had are falling apart, but most of our allies still want the deal, the Iran nuclear deal, to stay in place. The president's going to be meeting at that Security Council this week. Does he believe he can actually get them to agree to reopen the deal and assess new sanctions on Iran?
Well, I think if you look at the activity of the Europeans, the deals are falling apart. They are pulling deals back. They're not following through with them because they see what is happening. I think what you're going to see in the Security Council meeting is he's going to talk about the threat that Iran has on the rest of the world, but he's also going to talk about the threat of chemical weapons in Syria, what the situation is in North Korea, and that we still have some work to do, even going as far as the poisoning that happened in the United Kingdom with the Skripal incident. So it's going to be a lot about proliferation and what our role as the Security Council and leaders in the world need to do about it.
You talk about the difference we've seen in the relationship with North Korea since the meeting with with Kim Jong-un since 2017. If that seemed to bear fruit with North Korea, why not meet with the Iranian president?
I don't think the president is opposed to that. Iranian president hasn't asked. If he asked, I think the president would strongly consider it. At this point, I think what you can see is when the president gets in front of any leader, things do come together. But both leaders have to be willing to have the political will to do that. And so Rouhani hasn't asked, so the president hasn't had to deal with that.
But he's not going to invite Rouhani for a meeting?
No. I mean, Rouhani hasn't done anything to warrant a meeting. He has to stop all of his bad behavior before the president's going to think he's serious about wanting to talk.
The president will speak to the entire General Assembly on Tuesday, I believe. What is the overall message?
I think the overall message is the success stories of the United States, the fact that we have almost defeated ISIS, the fact that we're looking at North Korea, who's now at the table talking. I think the fact that, you know, whether it's been the movement of the embassy in Jerusalem, or if you look at Syria and the progress that's starting to be made there, I think there's just a lot of success stories, but mainly how we're protecting America, how we're focused on our sovereignty, how we are now looking at aid. This will be a big part of it. We're looking at aid, and we're no longer going to give money to countries that say they hate America or work against us. We're going to start really taking care of the countries that have the same values as us, and we're going to build on those relationships.
Well, you know, you say there's been no discussion of the 25th Amendment inside the cabinet, but the reports we saw in Bob Woodward's book, Fear, seem to indicate a real fractious relationship between the president and his national security team, even suggesting that he has no respect for many members of that team. How do you respond to that?
I'm there once a week. I don't see it. I'm telling you that. And the other thing is, when you've got people that won't go on the record and say it, you have to question whether it's true. If that's the case, say it. If that's the case, leave. But I'm telling you, I'm there almost every other week, and I can tell you, never has anyone talked about the 25th Amendment. Never has anyone even questioned the president's mental stability or anything. And look at the success stories. I mean, the job market didn't happen on its own. The stock market's going up. You're seeing that he's taking American stance foreign policy-wise is very strong. All the things that he's doing have been very successful. So if anything, what you feel when you go to the White House is we're going in a good direction. What you do feel in terms of frustration are the distractions that we're having to deal with in the process, whether it's the Mueller case, whether it's the extra gossip of the day. That's the frustration, but it's never about the president.
Ambassador Haley, thanks very much for your time this morning.
Good to see you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.